Alright, what up guys? So my build is not entirely ready. My ring in particular has some horrible tempers on it, and it has nothing to do with the build, but other than that, it's going along pretty smoothly. Got a couple more things I want to do to it, but its speed clears tier 65 like it's nothing. Say in the last one, I think we did like 100 seconds, I think is what it was. We'll see at the end of this one. And then at the end of it, I'll show you guys the gear, Paragon, all that. Now it's the closing, so we're not going to beat that time on this one, but it's okay. Where are we at? 90 seconds right now? Easy peasy. Oh, we're down to 55 now. Yeah, we gotta go up. Alright. So first off, start with gear. Loyalty's Mantle, of course. Give 100% more potency to the, I'm pretty sure it's bugged, storm feathers that come out of the Eagle Spirit Hall. But, you know. The rest of it doesn't really matter, except for the skills of their base spirit cooldown is actually pretty nice, because most people that run this build run the Devourer. I prefer to run Seeker, because every time I activate Seeker, I can get Unstoppable. And having 6 charges is pretty nice. It gives you 6 seconds of Unstoppable. This makes us unstoppable, and this makes it unstoppable. So it's just pretty much constant Unstoppable uptime for, what is the name of it? This, Unrestrained Power. Okay. Gloves-wise, we don't really need max life on here. Critical strike chance would be better, but these are what I got. I am not entirely solo self-found, but mostly self-found. Definitely not solo self-found. Sorry, I haven't bought much. I've just found gear and rolled it, right? Then we have unyielding hits on here. Casting a gorilla skill increases your weapon damage by 24% or up to 30% of your armor for 3 seconds, maximum of 1500 bonus weapon damage. At 30%, you would need like 4 to 5k armor to hit that maximum bonus. So like you're usually pretty chill on that. I'd have to do the math. Let's see. Why am I trying to do this in my head? Yeah, 5,000 armor exactly. 30% of 5,000 is 1,500. Derp. Anyway. Interdiction on the pants. Get 8% block chance per resolve stack. So every time your resolve goes up, you get 8% more block, which will add more damage to this, which is redirected force, where you gain critical strike damage equal to X amount of your block chance, which we'll get to that in a second. Dexterity, max life, max armor. Barrier generation, auspicious. We want barrier generation for conceited and the legendary glyph, which we'll get to when we get there. Rakanoth's Wake, which main thing for this, non-physical damage is good, CDR is okay. The legendary affix is useless, but resistance to all elements and movement speed is nice. And then, of course, the thing that holds it all together, I can't pronounce this thing, so I'm not even going to bother to try. It's important for this, dexterity being the better Want to have a greater affix on, but you mostly just want it to be 800 so that it has a higher weapon damage for the unyielding hits. So this here. Um, yeah, it'll increase it more, which it's not like super significant, but it matters. This is the ring that's messed up, I do believe, or is it? Oh no, so this one right here has decent. Um, it's got max life, critical strike chance, critical strike damage, which is nice and all. You could ditch critical strike damage for something else, but this is not bad, you know. But it's stuck with focus damage and razor wing charges, which I don't use at all. So I just need to find a different ring. But then of course this one that has dex, attack speed, and vulnerable damage that I want to change, which these things are okay. Dex and vulnerable damage are okay. Attack speed doesn't really matter, but it's got a perfect secret charges and storm feather potencies on there. So I don't remember if I said on the gloves, by the way, barrier generation and storm feather potency is what you want. We don't want 3 more secret charges. That's overkill. I don't know exactly what I would put on there, but storm feather potency would belong on this plus something else. I'd have to look, but it wouldn't be too game breaking no matter what it is. Probably, I don't know. I'll have to look. Not important right now. And then on the amulet, instead of critical strike chance on the amulet, even though we do want a higher critical strike chance, I think ranks of brilliance would be better. I think that's what most people use because it would add, let's see, brilliance is here. Yeah, you'll skill damage is increased by 9% of your movement speed, so you would that percentage would go up, and it would give you more damage. Like right now, it's only 11.7 for me. It would be like 13 or 14%, I think, maybe 15. It depends on how much it goes. It goes up 3 per rank, so it would go what to 12 to 15 to 18. So no, you could double it up to 10%, depending on where you put your what is it? When your master working, if you get all 3 of them on that or not. And then the total armor raises the armor here for this. And it also just gives us more armor, even though we're in world tier 4 and we're well over cap now. Dex, critical strike chance, storm feather potency, and auspicious, which auspicious is the gives you barrier. We'll get to that in a second. Spirit Hall, both eagle, that's how we get the helmet to activate. And this right here is pretty much what does all of the damage. Go to the skill tree. Hoping everything's in place here. Sometimes it's a little wonky. You don't actually need these points into Thunderspike, because Thunderspike is not what's doing the damage. It's just the catalyst to let us evade rapidly. And you want to come up here to accelerating Thunderspike. When you evade, you attack with Thunderspike along the way and make enemies vulnerable for 2 seconds. So with Thunderspike, if you guys don't know how the build works, your third attack pierces further, dealing damage and reducing your evade cooldown by 5 seconds. So this, when you evade, or when you attack with your third attack, it reduces your evade by 5 seconds. And then this makes it when you evade, you use Thunderspike. And then, what is it? The thing I can't pronounce makes it where every cast of a basic skill is a third attack. So it just lets you constantly do this. Tip, by the way, this will hurt your thumb. If you're a controller player, you're just fucked. I'm sorry. But if you're on a mouse and keyboard, I was spamming space for the longest time, and I don't know why I didn't think this. You can go into your mouse software and just make it where when you hold a key, it continuously presses it. Like I have one of my mouse side buttons set to when it's held, it continuously presses space every 15 milliseconds, so it just constantly goes. Such a good quality of life that I learned earlier today that I feel stupid for not thinking about sooner. Okay, we come down here. Even though we're not doing much damage with our basic skills, we still have put our 3 points into follow through, because screw it, why not? The rest of those come from the staff, or the quarter staff, which doesn't really matter. 1 into soar, and then here where soar makes you unstoppable for 4 seconds. This is just mostly for mobility, right? Because sometimes you get stuck behind a barrier enemy and you can go over the barrier and keep doing your thing. Mostly I use it for this unstoppable. 1 point into focal point just to get to apex where you do more damage to vulnerable enemies. and where vulnerable enemies deal less damage to you. The Thunderspike, the other thing said that it makes enemies vulnerable for 2 seconds when you hit them with it. So if you go towards the enemy, they're just going to be constantly vulnerable. As you can see, I kind of do like a sweeping motion, and every time it hits them, you become vulnerable. Or sorry, they become vulnerable. 3 into unrestrained power, which is why I care about being unstoppable all the time. Even though it's only 12%, it just feels like such a waste to not just, So we'll get to that. We'll get to the thing, a reason I don't think the Devourer is better. We put 1 into Ravager and go into Replenishing Ravager. This is super important. This will grant you a ton of single target damage. Wow, my brain is just... So, the Ravager's duration is extended by 2 seconds per kill while active. This just lets you keep it up constantly. And when you hit enemies, they'll get hit with this, which is a Jaguar skill, which triggers Potent. And hitting enemies with Jaguar skills increases the damage they take from you by 0.3 up to 30%. So you can get up to 30% more damage on something if it's got a lot of HP. And it doesn't have a duration on it. I think it's just for as long as they remain alive. And since this will hit them very rapidly over the course of... Even when you're coming at a boss... you get the full 6 seconds. So you'll hit them numerous times. I think each Stormfeather hits them once, and there's 8 of them, so that would be 8 hits per cast or something like that. So it just allows us to get a lot of single target damage done. Sorry I'm umming a lot. It is 2 in the morning, and I'm very tired. But I decided to make this video and put it out there tonight because I'm stupid, I guess. We have 1 into Armored Hide, and this mostly just lets us become unstoppable, but it also gives us 1 resolve as a passive. So getting 100% block chance, that's cool. Encasing yourself, becoming unstoppable is really cool, but gaining that 1 resolve every 5 seconds gives us a ton of damage. And then you gain that 100% block chance, so then you, for the 3 seconds, you have a ton of extra damage from the thing that gives you plus critical strike damage equal to your block chance. And then Concussive Stomp. Oh, we did not go over this, did we? So I got to remember we're on Concussive Stomp. We have... I can't even pronounce these, but we have the one that you cast Evade that will then invoke the Spiritborn's Concussive Stomp in the Ruins. And the Concussive Stomp is the Gorilla skill that triggers unyielding hits. That's pretty much why that works that way. So pretty much every 4 evades, you will Concussive Stomp. Or every 8. I think 8. Either way, you do it constantly. That's what that noise is. And then here, travel 5 meters to increase your critical strike chance for by 2.5 up to 25%. It just gives us extra critical strike. I think this is what most people use as well. Abilities, we're on Concussive Stomp. And then we have counterattack for mostly for the passive, but it is nice to just be able to press it. And this right here where it says counterattack passively increases your critical strike damage by 6% for every close enemy up to 30%. This is fairly useful when you're just like going through big mobs, and especially if there's like 3 elites in those mobs. And then we have 1 into Patient Guard, which even if we weren't going up to Auspicious, just getting plus 10% block chance is nice, just like a flat, Some people put more points in it to get the block damage reduction. I probably should, but I'm fine for now. And then we have Auspicious, which is the thing that we have the ranks on in the Amulet and the Pants, I think. You accumulate 6% of your maximum life as a barrier every second up to 60%. So we're pretty much going for that barrier for Conceited and the legendary node on our Paragon board. Then we have 3 points into Brilliance. We should have more if it was on the Amulet, but we didn't get that lucky. And then Acceleration, which is important because you need at least 2 evade charges. But after you evade, your next equal skill deals 30% increased damage. I'm not quite sure if the Storm Feathers count as an equal skill, but we got points in there just in case, because why not? And then we have Resilient. Casting a Gorilla skill, which would be the Concussive Stomp, will give you 15% multiplicative increased max life for 10 seconds. And then we already talked about Potent. So the Seeker. Since there's 6 charges of it, and the cooldown is halved because of the helmet. That gives us a charge cooldown of 18.11 seconds, depending on your roll. Now, we don't really care too much about the landing and blast damage. None of that really matters. What matters, one second. I feel like I'm going to sneeze. Okay, it passed. So this here, I do believe, where is it? Here. Casting an ultimate skill makes you unstoppable for 6 seconds, which will trigger our unrestrained power, and plus will just be unstoppable. Plus this, casting an ultimate skill grants 15 times increased damage to elites for 3 seconds, double if you're only fighting one enemy. So we have multiple charges to get this 15% over the course of a couple of seconds, you know? The only thing it's a downside for is supremacy. Any enemies you kill while an ultimate skill is active grants a stack of supremacy, each increasing your damage by 3%. Up to 30%. When an ultimate skill ends, you gain 5 stacks of supremacy, but you begin to lose 1 stack every second. This right here is why people run Devourer, because it stays up for 15 seconds and then it goes away, so you'll get it for 20 seconds. So as long as you get the Devourer's cooldown down to 20 seconds, you'll just always have supremacy. It's nice, but I like the unstoppable mixed with always having this up. That is my preferred method because I also can't be crowd controlled. I can use my ultimate to break out of things frequently. So like because like I'm whipping around, I can barely see most of the time. I'll go into like a wind wall and freeze myself, and then I'll unfreeze myself with my ultimate, and then freeze myself again. And I have other stuff that makes me unstoppable, but with my luck, it's already on a cooldown. Yeah, I know. You can go the supremacy route with the Devour. That is a perfectly fine way to go. I prefer this one, personally. Then we have this where vulnerable enemies take a whopping 45% increased damage, but you have a chance when you hit them to remove your vulnerable effect. But then you'll immediately put it back on them, so it's fine. And I think we finally went over this. I've just been talking and talking and talking. I apologize. I'm trying to go over everything that I've done and explain why certain things do certain ways. I've had people tell me they appreciate when I do that because they don't understand why certain skills are chosen or so, you know, things like that. Yeah. Sorry, I was just looking at this. This looks weird because usually I'm out here to this, but I've removed points to be able to get here recently. So, and this is not going to be the final layout, I don't believe. I do believe once I have more points, Spirit will go here. Jagged Plume will definitely go somewhere else. But it'll be this general layout. And I think this is the best layout if you only have 200 points. You could put Jagged Plume here if you want to. That might do a little bit more damage. But anyway. So we have Spirit in the starter board. By the end of it, we'll be grabbing these again, probably. I don't know. They're only 15. I don't know if it's really worth all that. This is how we have it laid out now. So this is me. I have 1 point in my thing. So this is if you have all of the renown Paragon nodes and you're level 200, you can essentially have this set up. If you are less than 200, you might be able to make it work. Instead of having 100 on dexterity here, maybe you go down to 80 here. You go down to 59 here, or 60 or 54, sorry, or something, just to make it work, right? If you're like 190, something like that. But right now we have Jagged Plume in here, and we have all the nodes collected here. That is the main difference. I've seen a lot of people that their boards aren't collecting every node. I have a board online. I will post it. It's going to be like the final, what I consider to be the final build. There'll be a couple of edits here and there when I realize I wasted a point somewhere. But it's like, for the most part, where it's going to be, and I'll post the link to that in the description. It'll only be the Paragon board. This one does not have a build guide written because it is not a final result. But anyway, this is drive, by the way. After moving 10 meters, you can deal, if you move 100 meters, you can deal 30% damage. And then over here we have Vicious Shield. When you do 1% increased damage for each 3% of your life as a barrier. So you can get up to 33%. And then in here we have Fulminate. So pretty much, by the way, the Jagged Plume and the Spirit will go in whichever board has the most dexterity. These two are the ones. Canny is where it's going to stay. And Talon will probably get moved back here. And Fulminate will probably go here. Maybe. We'll see. It feels very strange because there's only 5 boards. Yeah, we have Talon here at 65. There are a ton, as you can see, there are a ton of dexterity nodes that we still need to grab here. And tons of damage nodes. These are what I removed. I had these 6 damage nodes. Plus, no, I went and re-grabbed these ones down here. I had these ones removed for a minute. I removed just a couple, like some of those nodes like that. I will say this build does need a little bit more resistance to all elements because our resistance isn't quite capped yet. But you can add like a point. If you have spare points, you can remove stuff to add like a point here, add a point here. These, where it says the strength is not all the way, I haven't decided yet. I'm going to go through the board and see if I want to move points to other spots. But if we add 1 grand ruby to our armor, we'll lose 60 dexterity, but we'll gain 60 strength. It will hit this one, and it will hit this one for some damage reduction. We won't get this, but that's okay. This is just 20% flat damage, so it's not a huge deal. That's why I have this one set up to be last. For me, I went this way and then this to here. But if we just add a grand ruby, it will hit these. So, no biggie. Which is not insignificant. That's 6%. Then grabbing like this node and this node is another 3%. So there's 9% like right in my grasp. So it's fine. But yeah, and what do we got here? Canny in here, right? And the only node we don't grab is this one because 1, 2, 3, it's 3 spots for 1 node. Not really worth when it doesn't lead to somewhere else. And that is really it. I appreciate anybody that sat here for 22 minutes and 30 seconds of my rambling and is going to sit here for like another 15 seconds. But I say thank you for watching, and make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all the generic YouTube stuff. Make sure you join the new Discord server, which isn't necessarily new, but it's lonely. And yeah, everybody have a fantastic rest of your day.